Hey, what's up, family? Hey, we got another Donald Goines for you. This one here is called Inner City Hoodlum. Now, I believe we're almost at the end of doing the whole series. I believe we may have one, maybe two more after this, but I think probably only one. I might be wrong. I'll look into it. But anyway, we're going to get into this one. As I said, it's called Inner City Hoodlum. Now, this wasn't one of my favorite, but it still had some interesting points. Some that actually relate to other books that you'd be like, yo, that happened in another book. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to get right into it. So check it out. The way this one starts off with this guy named Johnny Washington and his buddy named Buddy. That's the crazy thing. His partner named Buddy. And he was also with another guy named Josh. And they went out at night to rob the boxcars, you know, the train boxcars. And I remember one of his friends was like, yo, man, what's on them boxcars? And he was like, man, you name it. He got everything on them boxcars, you know, because his friend Josh or whatever, he was a little naive as to what really going on with Johnny knew all about this street life type of stuff and what goes on. And as always, you know I love to give y'all a word of the day. So the word of the day is going to be that simple word, naive. Now, if you look up the word naive, it simply means lack of knowledge, experience, and judgment. And we definitely gonna see some naive nonsense that goes on in this book. So anyway, the three goes at the train yard, and the guard that's there at that night, you know, he's doing his job. He's in his security booth, but he's really just watching porno magazines and stuff. He's not really on his A game. But anyway, they cut a hole in the fence. They go through the fence, and they robbing the boxcars. And as they open up the cart, and they getting stuff out of the train boxcars, it's a bunch of watches, expensive watches, Rolex watches. So they grab box after box after box after box. Dang. You know, and they like, yo, we hit the big one, this and that. And they loading the car up and all that, and then they go back. So now Buddy and Johnny's loading up the car while Josh is still in the car, the boxcar still getting stuff. Next thing you know, the guard, he hears something and he goes over. And when he go to the boxcar, like I said, Johnny and Buddy over at the car, Josh in the boxcar by himself, and the officer, the security raises his gun. He's like, "Get your hands up!" And you know, there'd be on some racist stuff because right away he go, "Get your hands up, you damn nigger!" Right? Nonsense. And Josh is just stuck in shock, and right away the guy shoots and kills him. And as this is happening, simultaneously, Johnny and Buddy is coming back. And they hear the gunshot, and just as they hear, they seen their buddy Josh fall, and that's when Buddy, he used to always carry these nunchucks. We remember the nunchucks back in the day, right? So Buddy, he was real swift with him, and he took the nunchuck and with like all his might, he said, "Pow!" And he cracked the security right over the head, killing him instantly. It cracked his skull. But then they looked at Josh, and it was like, man, he's dead. They killed fucking Josh, this son of a bitch. So, Josh is dead, unfortunately. They all see it. Robbery went totally wrong. They didn't plan it out totally right. And now one of your friends got killed. So, with the boxcar, I gotta mention a personal thing with this too. Because a lot of people know and others don't. When you got the train boxcars, like Josh was naive, he didn't know. I remember in the town where I grew up, there's a train boxcar that goes through the town. And I remember as a kid, instead of walking all the way up the street and going to the other way, I would just cut through the yard, the train yard, not thinking no harm, but I used to always see people on that train yard stealing stuff out of the carts. Although I wasn't doing it, I was well aware of what was going on. So this was familiar to me with the book, you know what I'm saying? But, because I remember one time cops had rolled up on me. And they said, "What are you doing out here?" And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they was like, "What are you?" But I had nothing on me and nothing, so it ain't like they could say, well, I'm stealing something. And they just told me, "You're not supposed to be coming through this train yard like this. A lot of robberies go on." And I was just like, I'm just taking a shortcut. So that was that. But I'll give you another story about that boxcar personal. Now this goes out to my boy Kevin. Kevin, this guy could be real silly sometimes. I remember back in the days, this was like when we was fresh out of high school. I remember back in the days, we went uptown to buy some sneakers or whatever. And I seen this girl, she had on a shirt similar to this, let's say. It was a regular, like a stretchy shirt or whatever. And it had like some type of graffiti name across. And I ain't think nothing. I just seen a girl with the shirt, just like I see anybody with a shirt. But as we walked up the street, I seen another guy with the same shirt that girl had on. And I was like, wow, that's what a coincidence. He got the same shirt she got on. And I still ain't think nothing of it. We went in the store, I seen a little kid with one of them shirts on. So now my antennas is up. I'm like, yo, what's up with these shirts? And then when we left to go get some pizza, me and my boy Kevin, we seen a friend of his. She approached us, and as they was talking, I remember he said the most silliest stuff to the girl. He said, yo, look at, let's say her name was Sharonda. He said, look at Sharonda. Yo, you got one of them stolen train cart shirts on. And she's like, you know what, I can't stand you, Kevin, with your big mouth. She was mad at him because he spoke the truth. And I was still naive. I was like, what do you mean? Stolen train boxcar shirts. He said, man, June, you know how they be breaking in the train carts? He said, man, somebody stole a big box of shirts in Elizabeth. And they've just been passing them shirts out to everybody in Elizabeth. He said, if you notice, everywhere we go, somebody got one of them damn shirts on because they free. They just passing them out. I was like, I didn't even think of that. That was so silly. But anyway, back to the book. So now their friend Josh is dead. Buddy and Johnny goes home. They separate ways and they say in the morning we're gonna sell these watches. But for now, man, we tired, man. Man, we lost our friend. So Buddy go home, Johnny go home and get some sleep for the last time because he know by morning cops gonna be on us. We're gonna be hot. And as soon as he get in his house, his mother is in the living room as she always is, glued to the TV, watching TV shows all the time. And he's like saddened by seeing that because he's like, man, my mom don't do nothing but watch these doggone game shows all day. She don't do nothing with herself. And then he looked over at his father, and his father had that blank, lost look in his face. You know, like just staring into nowhere. And he knew what it was because his father had a good job back in the days, and they took that job from him. And ever since he lost his job, Buddy always felt like, man, my father just gave up. Man, there's other jobs out there. There's other things he could do. But when he lost that job, when them crackers took that job from him, he said, man, my father was so messed up, he just gave up on life. Now all he do is just sit in the living room all day, drinking liquor, staring into space. And my mother always watching TV. Now that touched me too with that right there, that scene about his father, because he lost respect for his father. But another thing about that touched me is a lot of people don't realize, like another one of my videos, I always touch on it, called Men Are Not Expendable. You never know what another man is going through. And the reason I say that, it touches on an old movie that I loved back in the days called Juice with Tupac. There was a scene in that movie where, as we know, a movie can't put every little detail in it. A book is a little bit more crafty with it. But there was a scene in the very beginning of Juice, when Tupac was getting dressed to leave. His father was just like Johnny's father, sitting in the living room with a blank look on his face, giving up on life, just staring into space. Like he just gave up. And I remember Tupac, he took a $20 bill and he put it in his father's pocket, tapped his pocket, and he kissed him on the head. But he gave him that same look that Johnny gave him, like, damn, man, my father just gave up on life. And you know, later it had said in the movie Juice, Tupac's father just came home from jail. So think about it. Like they say, sometimes prison can make you or break you. And in that instance, like I said, they can't put everything in the movie, but you could tell his father obviously got broken in prison. In prison, exactly. Now, to the average person, they go, what you mean broken in prison? Okay, the average person gonna say, oh man, what you think, they raped him? Possibly. They probably beat him. They probably took his manhood, had him washing drawers or whatever the case. But whatever they did to him in prison, it broke him. And it made him just now just look at life like he just gave up. Like, damn.
So in actuality, in this book that you're reading, Johnny's
that's how Johnny's father was. But in his father's case, it wasn't prison. It was the fact that he lost his good job. And now he just gave up on life. Just sitting around the house all day drinking and his mother just watching TV. You got a lot of people that do that. Just sit there and watch TV all day and not be productive with nothing. But anyway, so he got his sleep. The next morning he got up, and as he's about to leave, first thing out of his mother's mouth was, Johnny, we need some money. Because they expected Johnny to always, and he used to get on his nerves. He's like, all right, mom, I'm going to get you some money. Look, here go a couple of dollars, whatever. And he left. And as he left, Just as he got up the street, he seen his 14-year-old sister, Leslie. And when he seen her, he's like, whoa, what the heck? Look how she dressed. She not dressed like no 14-year-old. And he said to her, he said, yo, where you going? And she's like, oh, I got a job interview. I'm going for this job interview. I'll let you get on it at that point, because I know you was mad about Leslie. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is that she probably was watching, she was seeing this guy for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the guy, Duke, right?
Yeah. And now when you say this guy, it wasn't just no regular guy.
It was an older guy.
Duke was an old player at the bar who ran the town. He was a grown man, and he used to recruit little kids. He had a fetish. He was a pedophile. Let's just put it that way. He was a pedophile. Pedophile means, a stalker for kids.
For little kids, yeah.
And that's what the Duke was. He run a numbers game. He run a prostitution game. But most of those prostitutes was kids.
Young girls, yeah. Well, I can't even say young girls. They were kids.
They were kids.
What, they were like
And
13, 14 years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy Duke, he was really playing a good game on these girls.
Yeah.
And
he would buy them gifts. He would bring them to the club, get them drunk, and tell them they so gorgeous and beautiful. He would shower them with stuff and let them stay up in the penthouse. And they like, oh my God. It was so bad that Leslie, all this attention he was giving Leslie turned on her folks. She called her mother and father and said, I ain't coming home no more.
Exactly.
And she just stopped acknowledging her brother. He didn't know where she was at.
Yeah, but see what happens is with the mother.
But they gave up on life. Remember the father?
Yeah, but she was a little kid. How was she able to give up on her daughter?
I agree, but remember the mother just watched TV. TV was life to her. And the bills was, Johnny's going to give us some money. And then the father, he had that blank stare of, just gave up on life. So you're right. Why you got a little teenage daughter? You need to be looking into that. Instead, she's just looking into TV all day.
But see, that's why Johnny was always on top of his sister's case.
Yeah. So anyway, so now she all in love with Duke, and then finally Duke, he lavished her with all these gifts, and then he gets her naked and all this. He wound up having sex with her, this and that, driving her crazy. And when a young girl has sex for the first time, all of a sudden she think the guy is the world. Everything is about this guy. I love him. He means everything to me. My brother no longer exists. My parents, everything is about this guy. You naive. You see what I'm saying? That's the word of the day. Meaning a lack of experience, knowledge, and judgment. Her judgment was very naive.
Exactly.
Naive. She was very naive. Young and dumb. So he was messing with her for like about a day or two, and then he was tired of her. He found another young girl. So then he told his man Joe, I want you to go drop her off at the house, which was a whorehouse. And because I got a new girl coming in here, another 14-year-old girl. And while he dropped her off at the house, she's so naive. She's like, but why am I going there? And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to be with you later, baby. It's just I got business to run through. So I'm going to take you over to this house.
Yeah, he had a really slick talk. Very slick. And it's like, yo, Leslie, you're not even...
She was naive. Young and dumb, very naive. Lack of experience, knowledge, and judgment. Her judgment was horrible. And when she get to the place, there's another girl there, a little older than her, but that girl once was Leslie, figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
And every time Duke come by, she always, I hope that he's coming for her. But then she always be upset because she go, he dropping off another young girl for me to get right, to be a prostitute soon. And sure enough, the girl was like, this going to be a hard one. Because she was like staying up all night. When Duke coming? When Duke coming? And she was like, oh my God. Next you know, she pulled out some dope or heroin. And then she was like, and Leslie's like, what's that? She's like, yeah, I take this to take care of the pain. Because all men are dogs. Duke ain't coming for you, girl. This will take care of the pain. And she snorted the dope, whatever. And then next you know, Leslie tried it. Next you know, before you know it, Leslie was a junkie. And Leslie was prostituting.
Yeah.
And then now the next day, Johnny and Duke, they go to this guy named Sam to sell the watches. They sell him the watches. And after they sell him the watch, now they got some money, they go get them a room. And then they get a room. Now Johnny go, yo, man, we got to find another way to get money because we can't go back to the boxcar. He said, yeah, I think we need to see that guy named Duke. Man, he be running the city. We could work for him. And sure enough, they go there. They meet Duke. And Duke see Buddy with the nunchuck. And he tell him to put on a show for him. Let me see how good you is. And he cracked this wood. and so hard and all that. And right away, the Duke and his men is like, yo, you good with the nunchucks.
Right.
So they hire him.
Yeah, but wasn't it Johnny and Duke they were good friends? Weren't they?
No,
they weren't friends?
he just knew about it because he's the big man in town.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he said we could work for him. So now they working for him. And now, but little do Johnny know, at the same time he went to the bar to meet up with Duke, his little sister was upstairs butt naked in the bed. But he didn't know that. Duke didn't take him upstairs. They dealt business downstairs.
Oh, okay.
So now Johnny, so he gives them a paper and an address. He said, look, I need y'all can work for me. He said, look, I need y'all to go. I run numbers. I need y'all to go get these, collect this money from these. I'm gonna give you these 2 addresses. He gave him the address. And his boy, Joe, says, man, why would you get them those addresses to collect that money? They could rob you. And like Duke says, he said, man, it's a test. Them 2 places I sent them to is barely enough to buy food. He said, but if they bring it back, then they get bigger jobs. So it's just a test. Right. And sure enough, they go to a place, and it reminds me of the other Donald Goines book, Street Players. Because remember the part where the 2 girls, in that book, they ran numbers.
About
when
the
they
roaches?
All the roaches. They went to
yeah.
The same thing happened in this one. Johnny and them go to the house, and the old lady comes to the door with like 1 tooth in her mouth and old and wrinkly. And she's like, hey, boys, you boys come on in here. I got what you need. I got what you want. Come on in here. And they looking at her like with such a grotesque look.
Yeah.
And and then they see it's a cat here. There's a cat on the table. There's a cat on the couch. There's a cat crawling by. And they like, oh my God. And they see piss on the floor. And they like, it stinks in here.
Yeah, it had a horrible smell.
Yeah, so then she's like, come on in the kitchen, boy. And she reached under the cabinet and grabbed an envelope, and roaches start crawling up her arm. And it's all on the envelope. She give him the envelope, and he's like, oh, you know. And they're like, we got to get out of here. And then the lady said, don't be so fast, boy. Listen, I got what you want. Y'all can spend some time with me and my girlfriend.
You're a clown, Bobby.
I got what you want with my 1 tooth. And he's like, look, we got other places to go. We got to get out of here. And they was all scratching and all this. And so remind me of Street Players, because that happened in there. But anyway, so now they bring it back, and sure enough, now Duke is satisfied. He's like, man, they put in some good work. Mm-hmm. He said, yo, I want to celebrate with you guys. And he said, I got some girls. I want to bring y'all over to the house. We're going to have a big party. And everybody knew Duke threw these big parties with all these prostitutes. And when they get to the house, Johnny see these young girls that he's like, yo, these girls about my sister's age. Yeah. And he's bothered by it. But he got him a lady him and Buddy at the hotel. So they just drink and all that, and that's that. Next thing you know,
yeah, so now Johnny's out there celebrating with his boy Buddy.
Yeah.
And he's right in front of Duke and all that, but there's these young girls right beside Duke.
No, before that happened, he didn't get to Leslie yet, because the first time she wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
And then it was like, and then now what happened was, damn, I lost my train of thought. Because it didn't happen the first time. Oh, yeah. So now it's days done went by, and he ain't heard from Leslie. He calls home, and he go, hey, Mom, how's everything going? She's like, oh, I'm fine. And he hear the TV in the background. He's like, she's sitting there watching TV all day. And then he go, what's up with Dad? And then she go, oh, he right here. And his dad just go like, And then he go, well, let me speak to Leslie. And right away, the mother got nervous and scared because she knew Leslie ain't been home in about a week or so. And she called and said she ain't come back. And she knew if Johnny find out, he gonna be pissed. So then she said, oh, your sister, you know when somebody lying, they start with all that, She said, she went over her grandmother's house. So he was like, what? He kind of felt like my mother lying. And he said, really? And then he said, all right, Mom, I'll talk to you later. And then before he could hang up, the mother was like, yeah, but Johnny, one last thing. And he's like, Mom, I know. I'm going to send you some money soon. Just give me time. End of the week, I'm going to send you money. It's a shame she was always stressing because they gave up on life.
Right.
So now he calls the grandmother house, and the grandmother go, no, Leslie ain't here. Leslie, I ain't seen Leslie since the last time y'all seen last summer or whatever. So now he's like, that fucking bitch. When I read that, I said he called his mother a bitch, but he was talking about Leslie.
Yeah. So
now this is the part you're talking about. Duke threw another party that they went to, and there's a bunch of girls. And when Johnny go there, he seen his sister Leslie up under Duke. Yeah. And he went off, And he started to fight Duke for it. And Duke was like, hey, man, we ain't gonna have that here in this club, man. Yo, we can't have that. And he was like, yo, I didn't know that was your sister. And now Johnny's like, man, I'm gonna kill you. And right away, that was the day Buddy didn't bring his nunchucks. And before you know it, Joe wound up cracking Buddy over the head, knocking him to the wall, busting his face up. And they grabbed Johnny and jumped him. And then he said, take him to the desert, man, and just get rid of him. He's like, you want us to kill him, boss? He said, nah, just dump him there. Maybe some time will cool him off.
Exactly. He's just overreacting to his sister.
And then meanwhile, the cops is looking for, because remember the security guard had a crack in his head, and they said, that's by nunchucks.
Yeah.
And they said, it's only one guy in town we know that does that. And so now they following leads, and they got a call that says somebody is selling stolen Rolex watches. Watches what was stolen from the car. They find the guy at the grocery store selling them, this guy named Sam, and they threaten him that, oh, you better tell us who sold you those. And he's like, nah, I bought them in Mexico. And it's that. And they're like, look, you don't tell us who's going to tell you. We're going to lock you up for murder.
Yeah, they had that guy. What, Sam? They had him for like about 3 hours.
In the jail.
3 days in jail.
And you know, we speak of this all the time. Cops, these are the worst jokers. They threatened him knowing they ain't had nothing on him except for he got bought stolen merchandise. And that's a job in itself where, like, these cops, they want you to do their job and they want you to turn on each other. Because that was another thing the cop said earlier when he spoke to Johnny and the mother. The cop said, man, it's a damn shame how black people do in the hood. They don't want to be rats to each other and tell on each other, the very people who's doing them harm, and then, which puts them in the middle, because on the other end, they don't trust us cops for nothing. So therefore, it leaves them as at a loss, because you're not helping us, and then you helping the criminals in your neighborhood. Nah, that's not true, because cops has always proven when they come to the neighborhood, they never come for help, to be helpful. They only come to make things worse. Right. And don't let it be a domestic dispute going on. Cops will come and make everything worse. Imagine a cop coming to your house, right? And then he's telling you, he in your house. You and your lady went through whatever domestic dispute, and he telling you, hey, you get over there. You get over there. Hey, calm down. You stand over here. It's like, yo, you in my house trying to tell me and boss me around. That will make any man lose his composure. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But yeah, they wanted this dude Sam to rat him out, and when they said we're gonna charge him with murder, all of a sudden he gave up Johnny and them. And then when he gave up Johnny and them, it was like, man, you rat, man. So now Johnny and them get themselves back together, and now, because they didn't kill him when they dumped him, now Johnny go, man, we're gonna get that Joker Duke. Man, he got my sister strung out, and he said, what we gonna do, since we've been running the numbers for him already and everybody respect us, he said, man, we're gonna go to all his spots and rob him. And simultaneously, while they was doing that, and they got a lot of money, simultaneously, Duke was like, man, I ain't know this little girl, Leslie, was his sister. I gotta get rid of her young butt. And he took her to a fine hotel and gave her some pure heroin.
But all this time, she thought that this was the man that she really loved her.
Yep. And she didn't want to do the Duke that time.
Yeah.
As much as she do it, that time she just so happy to be with him. And he said, yeah, but babe, I want you to be wild in the bed. You know, and she said, yeah, but I don't need it, baby. As long as I got you, I don't need it. And then he said, yeah, but I'm going to do some too after you. And as soon as he said that, remember, she's so naive. She said, okay, well, if you're going to do it, then I'll do it too. And she shot it up or whatever. And he was like, yo, I'm going to take me a shower. And he went in the bathroom or whatever the case. And in the meantime, she went to her whole convulsion.
Yeah.
And he stood right over her body while she was. This is how cruel-hearted this dude was. He seen her going through the crap, and he just stood there and looked at her.
Yeah.
And waited for her to die.
She wet herself and everything.
She urinated on herself. She
defecated
on herself and foaming out of her mouth. And this joker just went out of the room, out of the back door.
But you know, it thrilled him too, right?
Yeah, it made him.
Really
it got him an erection.
Yeah.
You see that?
What a sick. Oh
he was.
God,
think about it. Like you said, sick. You're a pedophile. You're attracted to young kids, not young women, young kids. And then not only that, he got an erection when she was dying. Like, damn, this dude, he's ruthless.
Sick bastard.
So now finally, Johnny and them, they meet up at the club. They try to ambush they go up in the club when they find out that Duke is in there, because Duke is ready to leave town, because he's like, man, I ain't about to go to this jump with this kid when he come back. I'm about to fly out of town. I'll leave them, my boys, to handle this. But little did he know, Johnny and them met him at the club hours before his plane was coming. And Buddy took out the first guy with the nunchucks, killed him with one hit, but then it's messed up. All of a sudden, the dude, he fell against another dude, then the third guy came out and shot Buddy, right? With a magnum right in his head, so he was done. And then that's when Johnny, he had a 357 Magnum too, and he wound up killing the other cat. And then he shot, I think he shot, did he shot Duke? He shot him in the arm, right?
Yeah, he shot him. Yeah, he shot him.
And
He didn't kill him, but he shot him.
But now he jumped in the car and Jay. And then Duke and Joe jumped in the car and they chased him, and Johnny went back to the train yard.
Yeah.
And then it was like, why would he go back to the train yard? Because he felt like a wolf in his home, in his own setting. These are my grounds. I know this train yard.
Exactly.
And so Duke sat back while Joe went to go hunt him. And in the dark, Johnny was up on the cart, took his shoes off so he won't make no noise and all that. And while Joe was going through each cart trying to find him, Johnny already had him in his sights. And when he came in perfect sight, Johnny, boom, and just blew a hole in his chest with the magnum, and he was gone. But then Duke heard this, and Duke came running, and he was up against the side of the boxcar trying to be real astute, clever and quiet. But Johnny seen him the whole time. And Johnny was just about to shoot him above. But in his mind, he was like, nah, killing him would be too easy. I want him to suffer.
See, that's where he went wrong.
That's
where he when he went wrong, because he had the opportunity.
He had him.
Oh my goodness. See,
and he was like, nah, but if I just shoot him, he had him right there. Duke didn't even know he was dead. But all he was saying to himself, I want him to suffer. That just kill him would be too
emotional.
Easy. There you go.
You say how you always saying, oh, women are too emotional. Men are emotional too.
Because he had him. And then all of a sudden, Duke looked up and seen him. And Duke real quick turned around and said, pow! And shot him. And Johnny fell down. And the Duke came over him and pow, 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 shot him on the head. And I was mad.
Yeah.
I was like, you had him, man.
Exactly.
It's just like a lot of the movies we be watching. When the killer got the person, they do all the talking. Or like the old Batman.
Exactly.
Batman. Like the old Batman. The Joker got the Batman. You about to dump him in the thing of acid. And what he always do? All the talking and he get out.
No, Batman gets the Joker and never kills him.
Yeah, I was
just talking to him.
Johnny, you had him, man.
Yeah.
But you got emotional and the tables got turned. You got killed.
So in the end, Duke won the battle.
Made me mad too.
He won.
Duke
so I did not like the ending.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, once again, a good book, but Donald Goines books be ending on a sour note where it's like, damn, man, why could a Joker finally win in the end of one of your books? But yeah, hopefully it wasn't too long. I hope I kept y'all somewhat entertained. As always, I say subscribe, share, like, and comment. But as I said earlier, I hope y'all got that point with Johnny father and Tupac father in the movie Juice. That's when a man gives up on life. And a lot of us, we don't understand that. That's why I said go to my other video. What it's called? My other video, Men Are Not Expendable. Because you never know what a man is going through. But that blank stare, that's a man who's been through turmoil and has given up on life. And he just stare into blank space because there's so much going on in his head that make him feel like I was less than a man.
Exactly.
So on that note, I'll let y'all go. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. Peace.